A woman decides to register to vote. She's told she can. She's off probation. She tries to vote. She's arrested. They try to incarcerate her for years. It gets overturned after reporting from Indisputable and other outlets. It gets overturned. She is now running for the U.S. Senate. Put up the picture full mass. If you remember, Miss Pamela Moses, Tennessee, she is now vying to represent the state in the U.S. Senate following an unjust voter fraud prison sentence that was, in fact, summarily overturned. Ms. Moses is set to run as an independent instead of a Democrat. I'm going to explain some dynamics about her platform. The Black Lives Matter Tennessee founder gained national attention for her legal case involving a prison sentence for attempting to register to vote while on probation, unaware that it violated Tennessee state law. Her case sparked discussions about the treatment of formerly incarcerated individuals trying to restore their rights. And I want to remind you some of the detail from the original saga. Her probation officer believed that she was able to register to vote according to the original narrative. That information was left off the table, not counted as true evidence, even though everyone knew it to be true. There's more. As for the criminal history, Moses faced charges of voter fraud after trying to regain her voting rights, which were revoked during her probation from earlier felony convictions. She received a 6-year prison sentence, January 2022. However, the charges were later dropped by Amy Werich, a former Shelby County DA, following the discovery that the Tennessee Department of Correction had withheld evidence that could have cleared Moses. Ms. Moses said of her Senate run, quote, "I've been in Tennessee all my life. I've lived here, but I've traveled abroad," Moses said. "I'm the founder of BLM Tennessee and the Memphis chapter. And I was falsely imprisoned by a district attorney who was considered by Harvard to be the most vindictive prosecutor in America." They have this list. Moses continued, quote, "I overcame that horrible experience. And after reflecting on it, I've decided that I don't want that to happen to anybody else. And locally and regionally, it's very hard to get real change. The real change starts at the top. And so that's one reason why I've been elected to run for United States Senate in Tennessee." I'll put up the pictures. She seeks to challenge Republican incumbent Marsha Blackburn. Moses will also face off against Tennessee State Rep Gloria Johnson of Knoxville, okay? And Sylva Miller Watkins of Fayette County, who have filed to run as Democrats. Obviously, running as an independent in any jurisdiction is a tough uphill battle, just given the layout, the design parameters of politics in America. But I want to say this for anyone who may be struggling with the reality that's in front of them. Put her picture up again. Put up the picture of Ms. Moses. Ms. Moses has already won. She's already won. She's already a winner. They tried to put this woman in prison for 6 years for registering to vote. Do you understand? They did not do that. That kind of sentence was extreme and unheard of even in the 60s. 6 years in prison for a Black person registering to vote? 6 years. She was sentenced to 6 years. It got overturned. Now, It was a conspiracy because the Tennessee Department of Correction decided to intentionally withhold evidence. That is obstruction. Who's getting charged at the Department of Corrections? Nobody. Nobody. They attempted to create a hostage from this human being. They wanted her to be silenced, not because she had the audacity to register to vote while being on a probated sentence, even though there was ambiguity with the probation office itself. That's not the actual thing. Let's keep the main thing the main thing. Why did they actually prosecute this case? Why did they ignore all normative law and judicial standards? Because they needed to make an example out of what they considered to be a loud Black woman who was unapologetic about her position and her political stance. And they found a small opening, registered to vote. Hell, they didn't even wait for the woman to vote. The mere registration of it got her arrested. She decided to transmute that negative energy. This is how you win. Take the energy they give you and convert it into power for yourself. All of our systems come down to one thing: people, us. You cannot transform systems without transforming people. When we get good people in bad systems, systems all of a sudden start working better. You don't transform systems, you transform people. All right, Farron, thoughts?
You know, this is such a, starts off obviously as a very horrible story with a very good ending, you know, and that to me is kind of what this is all about. Like you're saying, transforming that energy, because this is an individual that has been put through it, selectively prosecuted, you know, intentionally targeted, Department of Corrections obstructing to punish her, to set an example of her as a warning to every other person in that state who may want to do the same thing. Listen up. This is what we will do to you, and we will corrupt the system to do it to you. And instead of getting beaten down by it, now running for Senate. And like you said, it's tough. I mean, it's tough even in a swing district to run as an independent, but this is going to elevate her story. It's going to elevate, you know, where this is happening all over the country. You know, my state of Florida, this has been a big issue where they're rounding up, you know, a lot of non-white people for registering to vote, even though they're legally allowed to. They even had to change the law down here in Florida to say, even if the state tells you you're allowed to vote, if you're not, that's now on you. You know, it's your job to say that the state is wrong for letting you vote. But this is such an inspirational story. And I do love the fact that she's nailing it on the head. Like, change starts at the top. If you want to actually see change, you're not going to get it if you're going to the voting booth every 2 years and voting for the same member of Congress. Every 6 years, you're voting for that same senator, and they still get a 14% approval rating overall. If you want change, sometimes you have to do it yourself. And who better to do it than the people that have experienced what it can be like when the system actively works against you? Those are the kinds of people we need in office. These are the kinds of people we need to see running this year. The people that have been through it, because those are the only ones who understand what it's like to be an average person. You know, we have too many people that run for office from positions of privilege. They've been there their whole lives. You know, my dad was in office. My dad's dad was in office. It's in the family. This woman came and she is hoping to change the system. And I hope I hope against all odds, she makes this happen, because this would be remarkable. And this would be a signal that the US, maybe just Tennessee, maybe it sparks us, but maybe we're really ready for that change. And we're ready to put real people in positions of power in this country.
That's right. Well said. And for those who watch the show in Tennessee, give Ms. Moses a second look. Because when you support candidates like her, you never lose. Because even if she does not win, you give her enough support. You know what does win? Her policies. Because the people who make it to the runoff or the individuals who move on, they now need her endorsement. Her endorsement comes with policies connected to it. I don't need personalities to win. I don't need people to win. I need my policies to win. All right?